Paladin. But in terms of how to play the deck, at least compared to what we saw from Dawn, from Surrender, I'd hope to see maybe a bit more risk-taking, aggressive card draw, and going for the big swing turns rather than somewhat inefficient individual or 2 to 3 minions removed at one turn. Oh, this hand from GivePLZ, though.
Ooh. But I have been kind of surprised in the past that Guess the Weight has not been kept. Like, it's not just always a 100% auto keep, which is honestly what I was kind of expecting. With this hand, I can kind of understand it because you already have the Fungal Fortunes. You don't want to overload on card draw. So just looking instead for Glowfly Gibbling, I think this makes sense.
Yeah, I do think so as well. I was kind of overreacting at the hand because he had 2 of the best possible buff spells, but all of that is moot if he doesn't have the Gibberling / Glowfly to begin with. And I do think Fungal on top of Guess the Weight when you're on the coin is overkill because you run into the hand space problem that we were talking about last game from Alutamu's perspective, where if you have the coin and you draw 2 and you draw 3, it all just gets a little bit clunky. So GivePLZ, I think tossing the Guess the Weight there is fine, but on the play, I'm pretty sure he would have kept it.
Well, we're just kind of going with the same game plan we saw earlier today, where Thorn Growth on 2, it's fine. If they want to go for Combustion here, I think you're perfectly happy with that. And then just, again, hoping to find the Gibbling or the Glowfly. That's what it's all about for GivePLZ.
And it's a question for Surrender whether he wants to go for Combustion this turn, because as it stands, his hand actually does pretty good stuff on curve, just refreshing Spring Water into Apexis, another Apexis the turn after, and off the Spring Water, hopefully you've hit something like Ring Toss off of that to immediately get corrupted by the Apexis. If he goes for Arcane Intellect here, it's telling me that he wants to go for the big swing turn potential here, which involves hitting like these spells. Shooting Star to go with the Primordial Studies he has, so that he can both stick a minion and remove something all on the same turn. And it's already a very different, I think, change of philosophy on how to approach the matchup.
GivePLZ going with a very, very quick Fungal Fortune on that turn. Honestly, with top deck Arbor up and Innovate and Coin, I was kind of looking at that on that turn. It was a lot of pressure, even if you don't buff that many minions all at once. Curves into Soul of the Forest as well. Like, I don't know. Felt okay.
Definitely worth looking at. I guess it gets a bit wrecked by Devolving Missiles, but if something sticks, then you just Soul of the Forest it. Just in principle, again, I've always been saying Token Druid should play for the greedier lines like what GivePLZ just did, but it is definitely worth noting that there are niche spots like that where you can think about deviating a bit.
Yeah, and I guess it was kind of likely that at this point he would have found either Gibbling or the Glowfly, which would be a much wider play. So I definitely don't hate it.
I love the mini-mage pick here from Surrender and not going for the Shooting Star this turn. He banks mana on another spell damage minion, which means that when GivePLZ decides to go and commit more to the board, Surrender can get a bigger swing. The mini-mage just cannot be interacted with at all from Druid unless they like generate something very unexpected from a resizing pouch, I suppose, which is not in the primary.
That is a card, though. That is one that you are very, very happy to see here. I don't entirely know if you're going for Arbor Up or the Soul of the Forest. My instincts tell me Soul, because if the board is cleared, then you still have Arbor Up that puts a decent amount of pressure in play, and if the board is not cleared, you just go Arbor Up and win.
Yes, I do like the Soul as well, and it's just a question of whether he starts with the Nature Studies. Okay, GivePLZ. I guess he's going Arbor Up if it's in this order.
Yeah, or, I mean, he could have still gone Innovate and then Power of the World plus Soul of the Forest, but now that he's gone for the Nature Studies in this order, it doesn't feel like that's on the cards.
Yeah, this is a bit confusing to me because it feels like, I mean, he won't have enough board space for the Arbor Up, so... Oh, he's going Soul and then Innervate Power of the Wild? Or just floating a mana? Okay, something went wrong here if he's floating a mana, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I agree with the principle of the turn that it's Soul before the Arbor Up, but something felt not optimized there.
Right, yeah, like it's not wrong to float a mana because you get an extra Gibbling, and he does have plenty of mana to work with Bloom and Innovate in hand. But it does still feel a little bit strange.
Now, my question would be, why not just Power of the Wild if this was going to be the turn? And then you can, if you fit in the Innervate, then the very last Gibberling also gets the Soul of the Forest on it, just tweaking the order a little bit, right? You don't get the Spellburst Gibberling, but all of the Gibberlings are more durable. In any case, the principle of the turn is that he is going for the second layer of minions rather than more health on the first layer, which I think is very smart going into a spell damage minion that you already know is on board, +1 in hand, which means Combustion can probably deal with even an Arbor up board.
So are you looking at going for as clear as much as possible turn? Like you could go Shooting Star on the Spellburst Gibberling to clear off some stuff at least?
I was going to say, this is going to sound really weird, but I actually really like Surrender's play of just Apexis the one minion and say, if you have the Arbor up, I have probably lost anyway. This is one of those super risky plays you can take with Mage, but again, the partial clear gets punished by so many things, namely just any board redevelopment and buff, and then you don't have a minion on board. What Surrender was saying there is, if you don't have the Arbor up, I have another minion to help me trade on the next turn, and another chance to draw Devolving Missiles. But this is not one of those worlds. GivePLZ did have the Arbor up, and this is looking, I think, already done.
Yeah, this is literally just game now. I don't think there's anything in the game that can save Surrender, because even if he gets Varden for the freeze, Feral Rage just closes things out.
It was a nice nature studies from GivePLZ. He picked that very early on without knowing that he would get the lethal, but Feral Rage is nice to have in certain lists to give you a little bit more reach. I believe Chonsu was actually running 2 copies of it in one of his alternate lists, and I couldn't really figure out for which matchup, but I could see it being useful against Mage because it often gets to a spot where if Mage can come back in the matchup, they often have like 5-6 health, and then you just never get bored and can't beat them from there, but Feral Rage can change that. And it's actually GivePLZ with that in the tertiary, my god.
It was, I think Chonsu got it off of the Discover from Guidance, but yeah, just any amount of extra over-the-top burn damage you can get is very nice. As again, we just see the Token Druid stomping on the mages. It was a not especially great draw for Surrender. You know, his was the kind of hand that can beat the medium hands from GivePLZ, because very often you have these kind of so-so hands as Token Druid that still get there because the mage is relying or focusing all their mana on card draw and generation and you know, ring toss or whatever. But with hands like this, it takes an absolute miracle to even have a chance in the game, and Surrender did not find that miracle. So we're going already to potentially the last game of the day, Gia, and it's only just hit 12 o'clock.
You're right. It is only 7 p.m. here. Both our players could have time for, you know, just dinner. And it's not anywhere out of the ordinary for their schedules. I will tell you what is a little bit out of the ordinary is just the way that Surrender approached the matchup, which I honestly think is taking bigger risks, but like I've been saying from the very beginning, if Mage needs to win the matchup, which I feel is quite unfavored to begin with, it involves doing stuff like that. But on top of going for a Pexis Blast on a 1/1 and just praying that they don't have the attack buffs, you need to have very many pieces fall into place for the Mage, namely early encounters flow, enough card draw to make it such that you get to the Devolving Missiles and the Shooting Star. And, you know, which one of those you want is very dependent on the type of build board that GivePLZ is going to build.
So you've been talking about Primordial Studies being a decent keep in your estimation against the Druid. Do you expect it to be a keep here?
Yes.
Cool.
I hope the yes got in on time before Surrender actually kept it. But you know what? That Studies is not getting played till turn 3.
Oh, imagine.
I think. Okay, there is a conversation worth having about, you know, Studies, because sometimes you get Lab Partner, and that's a great minion to just drop on the board. But if you miss on the Lab Partner, which is 1 out of 9 spell damage minions that you can get, then like that minion is just not going to come down for quite some time.
Yeah, as a wise woman once taught me, TGIF, you get those played.
And GivePLZ misses on the guess over there, which is pretty sad. But he does have resizing pouch into... I don't know the odds of him hitting a buff here, but it's going to be something good.
You're looking for Arbor up at 5 mana here?
Oh my gosh, why does he have 5 mana remaining? You're
okay.
right. Alar?
Yeah, Force of Nature doesn't get much done, so sure, let's play a 5 mana 7/3 and hope that does something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Wait. I don't think he... does he play at the start? It's start with studies. See what's in there. Just to proc the combo, because I'm pretty sure he needs to brain freeze the Alar. And he also wants to ping the Gibberling. So... Okay, just... No! So he can deal with the death rattle of the Alar as well by using the brain freeze. That's very big. Could have gone like Brain Freeze, Ruined Orb, and Ping. That's still an option, actually. Maybe the combustion gets better.
Maybe. Maybe not, though. Yeah, there it is, Gia. Talented gamers, Incanters flow. It's very, very simple, but very, very effective.
And you know, the studies, it looks like it's superfluous on top of all of that. But don't underestimate the lab partner. It's gonna either eat a Lunar Eclipse or value trade 2 Gibberlings.
Sure.
And it also just makes any potential Cram Session top deck better. And Surrender loves the lab partner so much that he's going to spend a Brain Freeze on a 1/1 as well. Fair play.
Okay, Studies is a reasonable top deck, given how bad most of the cards in your deck are at this point, and Guidance is a good card to get off of it as well.
Yes, and he can just hold on to it this turn so that... he's probably just gonna take both cards almost no matter... Oh my gosh.
And Raz. Okay, let's get Aegwin here, just for the ultimate power.
TGAB, Talented Gamers, Apex's Blast. TGFOP, Talented Gamers, Fond of Power. I can't even say it with a straight face, Dark.
I think it's run its course.
Does this Apex's go face or on the Gibberling? I think it really does not matter. But if he wants to be super safe, just kill the Gibberling. He already played Brain Freeze on one, so...
My cargo.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was just looking at doing it on the Gibberling there, but I guess he's just thinking, what are the fringe outs? Like, if it's exactly Arbor up off the top, you want to have a way to efficiently deal with that. But both of these are literally useless. Gibberling, despite being a hairy little monster, is not a beast, so he's not going to be able to draw that. And Surrender's done the impossible, Gia. He's won against Token Druid as the mage. It is possible.
Yeah, I mean, he got double flow, and GivePLZ had a hand that went all in on one turn and couldn't really get greedy because he missed on the Guess the Weight and didn't hit Fungal Fortune. So I don't think either player made any bad decisions that game. It is just, it so happens that these two decks in particular are very, very dictated by the quality of the first 3 to 4 cards they get in their opening hands.
Yep, you really want card draw as the Druid, and GivePLZ did not get gived any Pliz. So we are going to be going to game 3 here. No changes again, obviously I expect, from either player. Oh yeah, GivePLZ was on his secondary there, right? So he's probably going to stick on that again, which means... What, one soul for one resizing pouch, which is what gave him the Alar in the first place. Sure, not going to make much difference, I don't imagine, but who knows, maybe it'll give him a better selection this time.
It's just so funny. I think Sottle put it really well in that it's just such a Token Druid-esque thing to have one minus card for another one of, and that's the only change you make in the deck. And it's kind of like, honestly, dependent on your mood. I don't know if this affects stats in any way or if there's enough data to actually say. But I guess second Soul of the Forest is a bit superfluous, because if the first one doesn't get answered, you're generally winning. And if the first one gets Devolving Missiles, then the second one often is not as powerful by that point anyway. But I'll tell you what is powerful. Talented Gamers.
Oh, they just draw the nuts. Look at all of this. But GivePLZ's hand is, you know, this is okay, right? He's got a guess the weight. If he's able to get himself a buff like Pride's Fury, I'm probably looking at it most heavily. This could be a big pop-off turn with Gibbling in the next couple of turns.
It could be. Oh, what I'm already sensing from this is that GivePLZ to win this game needs to either get Glowfly or Gibberling the turn before this Apexis Blast from Surrender comes down. The one solace for GivePLZ is that the Apexis was actually in the opener, so it can't come down the same turn as Refreshing Spring Water unless Surrender draws the second one off of that. Because Apexis is generally the first minion that Mage puts on board that can't just be Lunar Eclipsed away.
Right. Big draws, though, for GivePLZ. Obviously, the Power of the Wild can be used to make a reasonably sized board with the Gibberling.
Dabbling, but he just spends his mana really well, and he still has enough hand space for the combustion. Among all the 2 drops here, the one I want to see least is Solarian Prime. Sorry, Astromancer Solarian, because obviously it messes with the Spring Water and the Apexis Blast potentially. And I also don't think it's Trick Totem, because this hand already looks like it's good enough, and I just want to avoid disaster. So more health is where I'd land on, because it can take more value trades.
Yeah, I mean, my head is definitely leaning towards Arcanologist, just because if they don't have the Incantus flow, you can very possibly take a VT on a Treant, and 2/2 is the expected size of most minions that you're going to face.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
Right. He is going in on the turn when Surrender goes into 4 mana, so like Apex is not super likely by this point. Pride's Fury.
Pride's Fury is big.
That's busted here. Oh, okay.
Could have played that on this turn, right? Kind of looking at that.
Yeah.
But he does want to prioritize the draw. It does, of course, make Glowfly a little bit more powerful in the next couple of turns, and he has the chance to hit... sorry, the chance to still hit Lightning Bloom as well to get the Pride's Fury down on this turn still, but he doesn't hit it.
I think this is very smart from GivePLZ. Surrender's just going to go off with the fireworks, but in the meantime, GivePLZ found a way to... because he didn't go Pride's Fury, right? He got even more Gibberlings and still basically created a Glowfly board for the price of 1 mana off of 1 Gibberling. And now he has follow-up into Glowfly. So it's like 3 board states that he is set up for consecutively.
I was a little surprised to not see the Phoenix there. I was kind of thinking just like Phoenix Springwater again to get yourself back up to 4 mana.
This is already looking like the Phoenix might be too late, but Surrender... Sorry, were the options Steward, Phoenix, and Aegwin?
I think so, yeah.
Probably the worst 3 in this situation. He just wanted the cheapest spell damage possible because he is looking for Shooting Star to deal with this board. And because he didn't get a cheap option, he's already resorted to playing the Solarian. Trying to get Cone of Cold, he'll deal. Yeah, that's pretty okay.
Yeah, I'm taking Cone of Cold here. I think I'm playing it as well, like save the combustion for when you don't have spell damage. That's sick.
It's super premium. I was saying Shooting Star in particular, obviously, because that leaves him mana to play another minion, and he gets to do this thing where he deals with the board without using the combustion, which, like you said, Shooting and Cone of Cold are kind of dependent on a spell damage minion sticking in order to be effective, but the combustion, not necessarily.
So it wasn't, I think, quite so obvious how you play that turn. It probably did just end up with the Fungal Fortunes as he went for, but with 2 minions on board leading into a potential buff turn, there was some amount of merit to just trying to keep the stats on board, so you could go Nature Studies to try and find more immediate statage.
Yeah. And It does make sense that GivePLZ is just kind of hoping this turn is not too intense from Surrender. Then he follows up with Glowfly. And it is a big deal that it was Solarian that Surrender was forced to play because he didn't get any cheap spell damage options, because now the Apexis Blast doesn't put a minion on board. If that were active, it would be a snap play here on the 3-3. Right now, for Surrender, it's a question between Apexis and 2-drop or just Mazaki. And the Mazaki can get answered by, I think, if it's Arbor up and double trade, but you're kind of happy about that, I'm pretty sure. So I think it might just be Mazaki.
Yeah, I'm heavily looking at Mazaki, because if they do go for Arbor up as the expected response, as you were saying, even with a double trade, they are still very vulnerable to just Combustion, even if you don't have the Devolving Missiles to use alongside it.
And I will say, playing Mazaki just straight up on 5, you will see a lot of people overreact into this. It so happens that GivePLZ, his best play this turn was also just Arbor up, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I guess the Glowfly Swarm would have been the second best, but this is not bad for him. He still gets enough threats on board, and then the Glowfly will happen on the next turn, even if this gets combusted, and it is very likely to be.
Excellent positioning as well with the Arbor up treants to play around the Combustion. Does it ever mean that you go for the Mask of Cthulhu instead? Like, I obviously couldn't even give you a ballpark as to how likely it is to clear, but I would say not unheard of, or at least you're going to clear... I feel like clearing 2 is reasonable to assume.
I really can't answer that without the hard data, Derek. I'm sorry, I also don't know. The problem with the Combustion is that even if he pings the other one, it is not dead, so I would just land on Spend Your Mana here. Oh!
There it is.
TGMOC.
Quite right.
Okay, but GivePLZ just keeps going. He took that one turn for card draw to make this possible. Just board after board. At some point, the mage runs out of answers unless they are truly, truly talented. Surrender has the chance for Flame Strike.
Still has the chance for Flame Strike, right? If you just want to start with Cram.
Right, and if you don't hit it, you still have Combustion. There's an argument for starting Steward, so you got 2 draws from Cram Session, and you can try to hit Shooting Star, but it is really, really tough to parse the odds on that. The Steward also just gives you a Discover straight off the bat, so I'm eyeing it for sure.
Oh, it's so much mana you're using up there, though, right? That has to be
Well, the thing is, if you Combustion, and then if the first draw off of Cram Session is bad anyway, I don't know.
Whoa!
Wow, the full clear!
Yeah, that is so huge.
That is game winning. GivePLZ's hand has, okay, still one more board left in it, I think, with the Solar Eclipse and the Thorn Growth.
Yeah, Solar Thorn Growth, or I mean, even just Solar Arbor, right? You can throw down the Marsul first.
Or yeah, at this point, it does just have to be the Arbor up instead of the Thorn Growth, because both of those shapes of boards lose to Flame Strike anyway. And so if you like try to play the Thorn Growth and bait the Flame Strike, then the Arbor up that's left in the hand isn't doing anything anyway.
Not a bad draw. I mean, obviously this Devolving Missiles is going to do absolute work on this turn. It's just about how you want to structure the rest of the turn around this, because you have to appreciate that even if you devolve into a 1-1 as a 0-cost minion, it's still very scary with GivePLZ likely having pure buffs for the rest of his hand.
Yeah, 3 Pride's Furies. And so again, it's a question of, does he start with 1 Cram Session? I think that's more palatable now than the Steward of Scrolls, because even getting Shooting Star off the top is not super strong. But okay, so I'm not on the same page as Surrender on this one. I'll hold the L on that. Studies? Get a bigger Cram Session?
Yeah. And that's, of course, I mean, you could just go Evocation if you think you can survive one turn and then go for a Miracle Flame Strike next turn, but agreed. It Primordial Studies more likely to be good, as Flame Strike is found. He just needs to survive the turn now. He misses on one of the devolving missiles, which is a huge difference between hitting and missing here.
Shooting star in the bottom 10, but he has hit the Flame Strike, the bigger shooting star, so to speak. However, is it big enough to get past a Pride's Fury board? Potentially even a double Pride's Fury board post-devolving missiles.
You've got to be
close, right? Because you've got to look at Soul as well. But then if you're playing around Flame Strike, just the giant health kind of plays around that and also pushes more damage, right?
Yeah, I agree. Because if you're going for one Pride's Fury, the max you get up to is 6 health, which, you know, if you're VTing into the into the Steward of Scrolls anyway, then it's likely that Flame Strike will be able to clear up basically everything. But maybe you just say, if you got it, you got it.
Okay, so if he does go for Soul of the Forest, which it looks like he is certainly going to do that, then I agree with the going wide to go along with it, because this lets him play around Flame Strike and have the next Pride's Fury push more damage. And it's probably also better around Combustion compared to just double Pride's Fury. So in the end, I like the play from GivePLZ.
Oi, oi, oi. So anything off the Primordial Studies, you can't get any extra effects that go with the Flame Strike to clear things off. Obviously, Ring Toss cannot get you Flame Ward anymore. I'm kind of struggling.
Not Trick Totem time, is it? I think it's Flame Strike and Ring Toss for Barrier CS, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Breakpoints, let's talk breakpoints. So Flame Strike obviously leaves 12 power in play. If they have 2 Pride's Fury, that is another 12 damage. So you survive with Barrier at 1 HP?
At 1 health, yeah.
And then if you hit CS, then they need to have something to proc it as well.
Yeah, that sounds like your best
Surrender's
chance.
going for it.
And then you just hope to find a way to clear next turn with Mask of Cthulhu or something like that. It's not likely, but it's possible.
Okay, now it's between CS and Ice Barrier because Surrender knows there's a discovered spell, so at the very least GivePLZ would be fine with tossing that, and then one of the big threats comes down. But it would have to be cheap Discover into double Pride's Fury or Pride's Fury Arbor Up. There's just too many iterations.
Too many.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's only 5 treants.
Right, yeah, okay. And so then double Pride's Fury even then. Well, sorry, with one of them being counterspelled. You're only up to 15 then, off of the second Pride's Fury. So we're not looking at lethal no matter what was picked here.
Right. And it's huge that Surrender was already forced on using a Flame Strike.
Yeah.
Because this is the type of board that, you know, you generally put Flame Strike in the deck for. Granted, it would have to take a lot of spell damage to deal with this. So once again, I think we're on a Varden game plan for Surrender. Has he actually played both of the fonts? I'm not sure.
Yeah, sorry, both Font of Powers haven't been used already at this point. Flame Strike haven't been used as well, of course, even with spell damage into Mask of Cthulhu. I'm not seeing it. I don't see any way to hit lethal on this turn, even being very generous with like double Fireball plus Apexis. If the Mana Worms were in play, then maybe we could talk. But with this, it's not happening.
Yeah. Is this Trick Totem for Cone of Cold? Does that save him with Ice Barrier?
No, it does not.
If he fireballs one of the minions?
Okay. Yeah.
We're in that territory already.
We're definitely getting there.
The Apexes are not active due to the Solarian that Surrender was forced to play. So if he fireballs the 3/7, I guess he pings it after because he has mana anyway. Or sorry, just studies 1 mana spell damage. Never mind, he doesn't have 1 mana. Man, that's very unlucky. So he has to fireball the 2/4 now and then Trick Totem. I guess he just Apexis Blast the 2-4 at that point.
Yeah, sure. Or trade it to the 4-8. Yeah, you're getting rid of more damage probably this way. And here it is.
Cone of Cold on 3-4. Okay.
Yeah, it was a very, 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 very long shot nonetheless, as it would even have to target the middle minions. It couldn't have even gone on the outer two. But maybe he thought of a couple of other outs that he could have hit along the way. Didn't find them though, Gia. And now we are 2 for 2 in Token Druids taking down the mages. Again, admittedly, as I was saying, it does feel like the Token Druids got the easier of the 2 major matchups this week between Mage and Priest. But it's kind of why you bring the deck. You have a very good chance of just taking down any matchup, even if it is the much harder one of the Priest. And against the Mage, just feels very strong.
It really is. They only have 2 Devolving Missiles, and you can often build boards where like 6 or 7 minions have Soul of the Forest or Giant stats on them, and it's not that likely to be able to get the Devolving in the perfect spot where the Combustion then becomes a threat. The matchup is hard all around, and you already saw from Surrender, the strongest possible, or one of the strongest possible openers with the Studies, with the Font, with the Incanter's Flow, but it still wasn't enough. He got to the Flame Strike, but it really has to be perfect for Mage. You have to have the big swing turn, you need to have Shooting Star with spell damage, you need to have the Flame Strike, and the Druid. As long as they hit 1 Fungal Fortunes and time it correctly, it's just a little bit too